Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is finally Friday, May 30th. We are finally at the end of the month of May. It seems like this month went by so fast. Our very special guest today is a good friend of one of my guests that I had on yesterday, which is Malik Long and Ira Watkins. He is also a part of the crew. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Dollhouse Fashion Dolls. Daddification. And again, I apologize for my tardiness. It seems like it's a delay with IG. I had to upload to my stories and then upload to the talk show page. So once I'm done with here, I have to go back and switch over on FB over there. But without further ado, let's get right into today's special guest. All right? Let me bring them right on up. Welcome, welcome everyone. Hopefully it should work. Hopefully it should work because I see you both in the box down there. Hmm, that is pretty odd. I'm seeing you all come in. Welcome, welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Al. Let me try something because I see where they sent the request. Let me go this way. Let me try this way. And let me send him the link this way. Okay, so I got Ira. Let me go and search and send him the link. Forgive me. Welcome, welcome, Fashion Dolls. Again, I apologize for the tardiness. I had to upload and like it was a delay. It wasn't letting me upload. I kept getting an error message. So y'all, please forgive me. I don't know what is going on with IG, but they are sensitive. They are on our tails. So make sure that you're updated and everything. All right. So I sent the live to Ira. Let me try to add Ira again. And I see Andre. All right. So let's get into it. Hopefully it works this time. Hopefully it works. There we
Hey,
are.
again,
Okay.
And Aaron, there we
my
are.
brother,
There we
Good
go.
afternoon, gentlemen.
my
Welcome.
my brother was cracking, man.
Hey, what's good with you?
Yo, how you holding up, bro?
Well, I'm making it work. I'm getting through it. It's trying times, but I'm built like steel.
You already know. I had to come on here again for you and Malik, because I got to show my love and support for the MDMA family all day.
Word.
And I'm gonna let you do your thing with your interview, man. I just had to come on there and say, yeah, again, Stevie, thank you for interview. For the interview, the homie, D-Daddification, man. Keep
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
your thing, bro.
My man.
This is gonna be our it's gonna be our year. 2025 is gonna be our year for MDMA.
No
You know what I mean?
question. No question. No question.
Yeah,
We
man.
getting it
But let me,
done. We
you already
making it
know.
work.
You already know. You already know. I had to come on and show love, man. I
Well,
had to definitely come on and show love. And
it's always love with our soul. You know what it is.
you already know,
Thanks,
man. We
man.
go back. We go back. We go back. '05, baby. '05.
No question.
No question, man. But I'm gonna let you go ahead, do your thing, man. Do the interview, kill the interview, and I'll be on the live chatting with y'all.
Oh, do what you do. You know how we
You got,
do.
you got, you got, you got a lot. You got a lot to talk about, man. Today.
Okay, let's get it.
Let's go. All
All
right,
right.
y'all.
All right, peace.
You're all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ira Watkins, Fashion Dolls, D-Daddification. Welcome to the Dollhouse. It's such a pleasure to meet you and have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Good to be here. You good people.
Yes, yes, yes. So, before we kick off this interview, how has 2025 been for you so far? We are now, when I was introducing you, I said we are now currently at the end of the month of May. It seems like the months are going by so fast. So, how's
Oh,
2025 been for you so far?
honestly, can honestly say, man, it's taken off like a rocket. From performances to movie premieres and all type of stuff. I had one downfall just a couple of days ago. One of my best friends died, so I'm still kind
Sorry.
of dealing with that. Yeah, so he was sick. He had complications with diabetes, and he was a bigger guy. He looked like he was getting better, but but he will always be remembered. That was my man, Big Jules. Shout out to you. I remember you, there, Julius Mulder. I remember you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ira's in the comments chatting you on. He says, money, the main agenda, all day, let's go.
I see. I
MDMA. And
see.
what is the before we get into your story, what is it like being a part of this collective, this team, working with Ira, working with Malik, who I had on the show yesterday? You guys worked on a single together and it's out called Call Me on all platforms. Make sure you guys go and check it out. What is it like collectively working together as Black collectives, putting your heads together to work on music, to work on film? And it's important that we as creatives, as Black creatives in general, support each other more than ever, especially more than ever now in the times that we're currently in. So, what is it like being a part of this collective, this team?
It's good. It's good because it's nothing like working with positive, like-minded people. You know what I mean? Because that you can work with anybody, but it when you got people that are on the same wavelength of you, you're gonna have a nice little smooth ride there. And I just got to give a shout out to everybody else on the team, Boss Lady, P. Michelle, obviously, the conductor of the train. You know what I mean? Malik Long, Dapper Cool, Ira Soul, Michelle, Make It Make Sense. You know what I mean? Lissa, uh, not to mention KG Universe, sorry, and and my man uh, Woody. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. They're my peoples on the show. I'm love MDMA all day. But I love working with them. I mean, everybody got their own flavor to them, and we bring a little something for everybody to vibe with. And I think that that's what sets us apart because we do everything. So having everybody be like-minded really helps with the creative process.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm pretty sure you caught some of the interview that I did with Dapper Cool yesterday. That was
Oh
something
yeah,
that we were talking about as it pertains to artistry and finding your niche. Like we were talking about a lot of artists out here, some of the greats. I asked him to give his Mount Rushmore of who he wanted to be on his Mount Rushmore of artists, male and female, who were his top five favorite singers, and he had to do a Mount Rushmore. And I said that the next generation is coming after, and there's a lot of comparisons to some of the greats, like he mentioned Aretha Franklin. We talked about Smokey Robinson, all of these other amazing. You're looking fabulous as always, Stevie. Thank you, Roman. Thank you, and thank you, Melanie Nalama Burgess, for getting me right. Thank you so much. Thank
all
you.
right.
Oh my goodness. But
The
we were
love is
talking
real.
about the top five. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just saying the love is real. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And we were talking about being original, staying in your lane, staying
Yeah.
creative,
Oh
finding a
yeah.
niche that works for you as an artist that is coming up in the game. And we talked about the next independent artists, the rise of indie artists and independent artists that are coming out that are doing their own thing, getting on their own. And then they have the comparisons to the greats like the Aretha Franklins and the Smokey Robinsons and all of these other amazing singers out here. So I'm so glad you said that, about just staying in your lane and everybody being
Oh yeah.
different. And that's what I love about MDMA is that every artist has their own niche. We've got the beautiful Cougar Kai. She's coming on the show next month. So I can't wait
Yeah,
to
yeah,
dive into it with her. She would be my second, and I don't know if Ira knows this, but she would be my second female hip hop artist that I will be interviewing on my platform.
okay.
I've interviewed the one
Okay.
before, and it was last year. Her name is Miss Showbiz, and she's in the Atlanta area. Shout outs to her. That is my girl. And she gives you all Lil Kim feels. I compared her to Lil Kim because she,
Yeah.
as it pertains to being a woman, as it pertains to owning your autonomy, all of these things she talks about in her music.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
she had to grind and get it on her own. So yes, Cougar Khan will be the second female hip hop artist that I'll be interviewing here on my platform, and I'm honored as a woman myself to be doing it with her. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I love music. I love making music. I love just doing me. I think somewhat of music has changed a lot. You know what I mean? Because I think before, and obviously there's a lot of people still around doing it this way, but before you did it for the love, because that's what you are, to express your feelings, what was on your mind, and people can relate to that. You know what I mean? So you can go from maybe a party jam or talking about how you was adopted. You know what I mean? It was real. It was real music. For lack of better words. And I like that era, so I like doing stuff like that. I like working with people that like to be different. See, as an artist doesn't paint the same picture. An artist creates new things. You can't call yourself an artist if you're doing the same thing over and over again, just slightly different. You got to create. Don't be afraid to step outside of your box and do something different, but still be you. You could be influenced by a lot of people, but still take their energy and create something to make your own image so people want to follow you when they're coming up. You know what I mean? That's how I come. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And where you talk about artists speaking from a life and personal place, that's something we also touched on yesterday as well too, where artists sing to the people. And what I mean by that is, and Nina Simone has a quote that goes like this. She says, an artist's job is to reflect the times. So whatever is going on in the world,
Exactly.
artists, their job is to speak on it, speak from
Yeah.
their personal experience and share
Yeah.
their stories that impact people's lives as well too. Like I said, and she's one of my favorite singers. I love Sade. I'm a big Sade fan,
Oh wow. Yeah.
and I love
Yeah.
Janet
That name in
Jackson.
a while.
Yes, as well too. I was just listening to her Love Deluxe album while I was getting ready for our combo,
Yeah.
and Sade takes you to a place and an escape where it's just like all of the chaos going on in the world.
Oh my
It's like this
God.
woman is a paradise all by herself,
She really
and
is.
her voice is so soothing. You could just close your eyes, put on your buds, and if you're on a plane, you're on a flight, or wherever, she will calm you. She will soothe you. She's like a lullaby.
Yeah.
Uh, Janet, sensual, soft, the same undertones as Sade, but they give you an escape. If you listen carefully to the lyrics of their songs, and I say this, I'm the type of person I like to look at music as looking through the glass is half full, not all the way empty.
Oh,
So when you're looking through that glass, you see different things, you observe different things. And if you listen carefully, I love it when back in the day you could pull out those album jackets and you could read those lyrics word for word or search the lyrics
yeah.
wherever
Oh
on your
yeah.
phone
Oh
or the
yeah.
computer and find out the meaning of them. So
Yep.
that's the type of feeling that music gives you. It makes you think like, I know someone who's been through this, or I myself have experienced this. And
Yeah.
I asked Dapper Cool yesterday, I said, singing about love, singing about romance. He was just like, what's missing now is ballads. And people don't make ballads like they used to. Every now and again, but
Yeah.
I can say that I can see this next generation of artists that are coming out doing it in their own way. It's not necessarily how Luther Vandross would do it, or Lionel Richie, or let's say Billy Ocean, or many others would
Yeah.
do it as far as giving you a ballad or a love ballad. And
Yeah.
Ira says that Dededication is a versatile performer of all, and that is a lyrical
Okay.
MC.
I appreciate it. Good look. Good look. I appreciate that.
And to add on to what Ira just said, is in this business, it is about having versatility and range. And
Yeah.
I love Prince too. I'm a big Prince fan.
Wow.
Uh, One thing I loved about Prince is that Prince didn't allow people to put him in a box. Like, okay, one
Yeah.
minute you're gonna get rock and roll, the next you're gonna get R&B, and he just played with all different genres of music.
Yeah.
So when Ira says that versatility, you have that.
Yes.
Uh, all of the artists on MDMA have that, where you're not placed in a box. It goes back to what you just said earlier, which is everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody has their lane and their niche. And
Yeah.
for me, What you know about Billy Ocean? Oh, yes, I love Billy Ocean. If not Luther, I love Billy Ocean. If not Billy Ocean, then I love Freddie Jackson. And I feel like these men do not get their just due as well. We
No,
talk a
they don't.
whole lot about Luther, but we can't forget Lionel Richie and the Commodores.
Hmm.
Like, I'm a 90s baby, and who put me on to all of these giants
Yeah,
in the music industry in the
yeah,
Motown
yeah,
era would have to be my father.
yeah,
It would have to be my father. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, you name, yeah, you name some people right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Lionel Richie, a lot of them. I think you're right. I don't think they do. I was just talking to somebody a while ago about how big he was, Lionel Richie. Yeah, I think everybody was focused on Michael, and he's one of my musical influences. So shout
I
out to
love
Mike.
Michael.
Rest in peace. I still don't believe he's dead. I'm in denial. But
Well, his spirit is
uh,
still here. His
yeah,
spirit is still here. It's touching those next generation of male
yeah,
artists like the Chris Browns that we see out here that
yeah,
can dance just like them. And Usher, who still has an impact. So that he's still here. Michael is still here. The same for and I'm a big hip hop junkie. I love Tupac. I'm a
oh
big
man,
Tupac fan.
he's one of my
And I
influences
feel like
too.
his spirit is still here as well too. And I think someone who kind of similar, I'm not gonna put them in that same category, but I can say he's similar to Tupac would have to be Kendrick
Oh
because lyrically they're able to use these words that will have you go into the Webster's dictionary.
yeah,
Like
that's
they
how I
were
like to do it.
geniuses
Yeah,
at that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a shame, especially nowadays. You can't use three syllable words without confusing people. You know, I remember I was on a song with somebody and a friend of mine, and he had let somebody hear it. I was like, "What do you think of the song?" And they was like, "Well, they like me and my boy, well, Jules, he was on that rest in peace. They like me and Jules's verse, but they ain't like yours." I said, "Well, what they ain't like about my verse?" I mean, really, they just said they couldn't understand. It was too. You were saying too many big words. What? Uh, it was crazy because it wasn't even like I was using big words. I was using stuff like longevity and stuff like that. But these are words I would think people would know, and I was putting it in a lyrical way. But people just, I don't know, the cat in the hat sat with a rat. They want that type of stuff. I don't know. I can't dumb down my stuff. You know, I got to speak what's on my mind, and whatever comes out, I write down. You know what I mean? And I like being creative. I like doing this. That's why I like Eminem. You know, people don't really give Eminem his just dues because he's a white rapper, but you can say what you want. That boy puts words together that no one has ever done. He has did it in a way that no one has ever done. You know, how can you not respect that man? You got to, even if you don't really like his music, you ain't got to be a fan, but you got to give respect where respect is due. You know, that's just me. It's crazy. You know.
absolutely. And what Kendrick and I'm gonna say Tupac have done, they've made
Mm-hmm.
us think. The music is socially conscious to the times
Yeah.
that we're in. Goes back to that quote from Nina Simone that I just said a few minutes ago. And they make you think. They
Yeah.
actually make you want to go and look up these words. These men are educated, and Tupac was an avid reader. That's something that a lot of people do
Yeah.
not know about him.
Mm-hmm.
Was that he always kept a book in his where on set wherever.
Yeah.
They did a post here on his page because you know they still have his page. The same like a lot of big singers that have passed away. There's still someone operating the page to let you know like it's the anniversary of their album or whatever. Whitney Houston has that same thing.
Rest in
But
peace.
for Tupac, a lot of people don't notice. He loved to read. He kept his nose in those books. He was educated to the
Yeah.
times and the climate that he was in. So where you come from, you are telling your story.
Yeah.
You're telling bits and pieces of yourself for any hip hop artist. And that is one thing that I admire and love about you
Yeah.
and this whole MDMA
Yeah.
movement. The whole movement is that each and every artist tells a story about themselves. And for us, the listeners, the consumers, we take that in and we take bits and pieces and are like, I can relate
And,
to this because I've been through this.
mm-hmm. Exactly. exactly. And we also try to keep it uh, fairly clean. You know what I mean? And when I mean fairly clean, I mean we try to. I mean, obviously there's risque stuff here and there, but it's literally here and there because we're more of a faith based type of thing. We like to bring more positivity than negativity, but we're not above doing being sexy and all that type of stuff. You know, you gotta put the sexiness in it. But it's not completely vulgar. That's the best way to put it. We don't do because me I don't cuss in none of my lyrics. I don't, but I do have sexy material. You know what I mean? So and we like to try to just be creative. You could be sexy without being raunchy. You know what I mean? I think that there was a lot of artists, at least back in the day, used to do that. Like you can say words and put it in a way where people was like when R. Kelly before he turned into the freaky guy, he used to do songs like "You Remind Me of My Jeep" and all that stuff, and he would break it down. Then he kind of got as he got older, and yeah, I mean he would just come out and say it. But you had the Brian McKnights. Brian McKnight never really needed to go that route. You know, you had the Luthers, you had the what's his name, Avants and stuff like that. Like there was singers who really made you feel like it was a love song. Like I'm talking to you in a sexy way. You want to throw these women wanted to throw their clothes off, not because he was saying give me that body, girl. He was saying things that touched her more than down there, but in here it was different. And now it's just all about sex, 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 and again, there's room for that. So don't get me wrong. We all adults. We all like the passion of it. But I don't think if it's gonna be a love song, it doesn't have to be raunchy. So I'm real smooth with that. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. You know.
Hi, Ronson. Ronson, are you still here? I was trying to get in touch with you. Yes, I would love to add you on. So it's going to be a
Mhm.
collaborative effort. I'm going to merge both interviews. You guys are getting two shows today. The first one is with D Datification, and the next one is with Ronson Hawkins, who is an amazing actor. And we'll get into that. We are talking about Black businesses, Black artistry, Black
Yeah.
collectives. But that was something that we also touched on as well too yesterday, me and Dapper Cool. We were talking about how music has definitely changed as it pertains to romance
Yeah.
and
It
ballads.
has.
How nowadays, let's just we're all grown adults in here. Let's put
Yeah.
it out there.
What it
It
is.
is, I'm going to say this, sex sells.
Yeah. It does. It
Sex
does.
sells. And back in the day, artists would make it so it was more so tongue in cheek. It would go over your head. It wasn't so,
Right.
how can I
Right.
say it,
That's up
direct.
front
Whereas
in your
now,
face. Yeah.
like you said, um, girl, girl, get on top, spread these. I mean, all sorts of stuff. They would be
Yeah.
so direct with it. But back in the day, it would kind of, okay, go over your head. My brother's here. I can't go out there right now, but I have to see him after
Oh,
the
good.
show. But like I was saying, it goes over your head. The messaging was there, but we couldn't understand what it meant, but we knew what it meant. So
Right.
a lot of
Exactly.
artists were
Exactly.
genius at doing that. And when I sat down and I did my interview with 112, which is what I was telling Dapper Cool yesterday, I said, y'all got out here and y'all making songs about anywhere you can go, to the shower, to the kitchen table, everywhere. We knew what they meant. You had to read between the lines. It was there. But artists have been singing about sexuality and romance for years. It's been there.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is that now we see the shift from then to now. People have options of what
Yeah.
romance music they like when they're in the mood, the type of music they like when they're getting married or walking
Yeah.
down the aisle. Music brings a memory to you.
It
So
does. It does.
I'm gonna say now you gotta have that balance, you know. And like you said, it doesn't need to be necessarily raunchy. So, and
Yeah.
this is coming from me working in the fashion world.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not a music giant, I'm not a manager or an artist or anything, but I know working in the fashion industry that your look has to consecutively change. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've noticed as well too throughout the years. When I first started off, it was very
Yeah.
conservative, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm evolving because I started off very young doing this platform. I've been doing it for about 7 years, Style by
Okay.
Stevie.
Right. Right.
And I said, you know what? Something's got to change. You are turning 30, you're turning 20, you're turning 19. Because I started right after high school. I
Yeah.
was like in my teen years,
Yeah.
and now I'm 31. So it's just like, you
Yeah.
can't do the same thing you were doing when you were like in your teen years.
Yeah. You
Okay?
gotta
So for
evolve.
artists to develop and evolve, just like when Michael Jackson became a man, what happened? He gave us that Off the Wall album. He went from his
Yeah.
brothers to the Jackson 5, and he
Yeah.
gave us Off the Wall. And then he gave us the song with Stevie Wonder, I Can't Help It, which is one of my personal favorites.
Mhm.
When you say MJ, that's what I was thinking about. Yes,
I know
yes, yes,
Stevie was
yes.
on that song. I know Stevie was on. I know that. I love that
And
song.
there's the original recording out there of that song too. That is one of my favorite songs from that Off the Wall album. So
Mm-hmm.
this was Michael becoming a man. We saw a different side of him. So I say that to say this: artists evolve with the times. They change, they
Mm-hmm.
shift. So
Yeah.
you're going to see a little sexuality in their
Yeah.
music. The perfect
Yeah.
example would be his sister Janet.
Okay. Yeah.
Janet gave us what her. She was squeaky clean when she first came
Mm-hmm.
out, and then what happened? She gave us Rhythm Nation. Boom, she
Yeah.
gave us Control. And then when that Janet album came out,
She
I
was growing
blush.
up, Janet. Then
My goodness, if you look at that Janet album cover, this is
she was a
Janet
grown woman then.
shelling out, becoming a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So
But she,
artists, yeah.
I
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
was gonna say, but she still, even though she grew up and she did get sexy with it, she still didn't get raunchy. You know what I mean? Yes, it was weird to see little Janet saying crazy stuff like she was saying, but it still was never to the point where it was so just oh dang Janet, she took it there. It sounded like it was just she grew up and was talking like a grown woman would talk to her man, or something like that. So or just how a grown woman would talk with her sexuality now. So, and it was still sexy. It wasn't like come here and give me that. It was I guess it was in its own way, and she did say some stuff here and there, but it was so minor, like it was just kind of slid in. She still kept it classy, in my opinion. I think she still kept it classy, and it's
Absolutely.
funny about it's funny about changing because uh, when I first met P. Michelle, I was more of a I was out to doing my own thing. Just give me a T-shirt and some jeans, some khakis. I'm on the stage. I didn't care. Didn't really matter. I didn't really think image. I thought just lyrics. I just wanted to spit. I wanted to spit, wanted to go out there, wanted to do my thing, let people feel me. It was my words that mattered. I didn't really care about the wardrobe. I didn't really think about you come to realize image is a part of being an artist.
Sure.
Yeah. And so when we got together, she came to my first solo performance that I was doing, and she seen me perform, and then she like we've been riding together ever since, and she like start changing up my clothes. I said, just let me, but she seen something in me, and she ended up changing and making me look a whole lot better. Yeah, I changed up, but I was wearing stuff that I thought I felt comfortable in. I didn't think that's just how I dressed. I never thought much about it. So when she said, "Hey, try these on, put this suit jacket on," try this, I said, "Just give me a t-shirt, I'm good." But she really opened me up, and I gotta thank her for that. She opened me up, and she's in the cut talking stuff. She bought me, yeah, she bought me a suit. I was just in there like, I don't, just give me a shirt. I don't want to wear this. Give me a t-shirt. She got, the jewelry and stuff. I was like, this ain't me. But then after a while, because my name is DJ K, she said, you got to really sell that. And here I am today. So I thank her for that. I thank her for that. So
And
now I can't even look at my old clothes the same way.
but you
I'm
know
sorry, good.
what she did was called artist development, and that is something that we touched on yesterday, me and Dapper Cool, which is
Yeah,
structuring the
yeah,
artist.
yeah.
And we
Yeah.
went through a plethora of artists who developed their own sense of style and their identity and sound. Um, we talked about SWV. And
Oh
how they
wow.
performed. It was supposed to be, a lot of people don't know this, but it was supposed to be originally 4 girls. And
Well,
the record label said, you know what, let's go with 3 women. Let's go with 3 women. And so their style, because they were girls that grew up in New York, they were rough, round the edges type of girls. They were not into the gowns and dresses like my girls in Vogue. And Vogue has influenced a lot of the styles that I wear here in this show. But Coco from SWV said it. We were not like into the gowns and the dresses. We were into combat boots and you
combat
know,
boots, the
yeah,
jerseys.
sort of like TLC, and their name originally was supposed to be TLC, but of course TLC was taken. So again, another fact. But
I didn't know
artist
that.
development, yeah, artist development. These girls crafted themselves, and they said we got our style from around the way, girls, women around the way. You know, from
Yeah,
what we saw growing up in New York. So that's how SWV crafted their own style. And then if you go and you look at the first album, of course, it's tomboyish.
yeah,
The second one, you see them elevate, and it becomes a little bit more feminine. Um, Malik, Dapper Cool yesterday mentioned Escape. The same thing for
yeah.
them. They came
Me
out
too.
just
They
like
started out with the
TLC,
boots and stuff.
baggy
Baggy
clothes, and they
clothes,
started
rather.
wearing suits, and then it became more seductive.
Yeah,
So throughout the years, your style will change and progress with
yeah.
each sound. It's not going to stay the same.
I agree. I agree. Nah, I think you have to change with the years. I don't think you have to change who you are, but I do think you have to adapt to the time. You know what I mean? I think getting lost back in a particular era can mess you up as an artist because you're kind of used to doing it that way. I think you do have to still do you because people are afraid of losing themselves because that's what got them there. So they just kind of stick that way. And I hear you, but take what's new and do you in that. You know what I mean? That's then that way they can still feel it from both ways. Don't just get caught up with, man, I'ma just be me and that's just how it is. Be you. But see what's hot, flow with it, and just keep it, that way you can still connect with who's new. Because the people that are coming up now ain't familiar really with all that back then for the most part. So if let's say somebody like LL's been
Oh
able
yeah,
to adapt. LL, I don't think people realize LL came out in the early '80s, or was it the mid '80s? The mid '80s. Yeah, it was the '80s. Yeah, so and he is more relevant now than he's ever been. You know what I mean? Snoop Dogg, uh, all them, all these rappers like Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, all these people that was back in the '80s, they're relevant because they changed with the time. They was able to move on with the time. And I think as an artist, you can't you have to be able to call yourself an artist if you're able to create new things and do different stuff. You know what I mean? And that's just how I do it. That's how I roll.
absolutely, for sure, for certain. Like I was saying this yesterday also as well too. When it comes to doing those, my nephew must be out there. Oh my goodness, he is on his way to his terrible twos. But
Oh wow.
artistry, the first sound, and
Mm-hmm.
I've referenced, we've talked about a lot of great
Yeah,
artists yesterday, from Mary
yeah.
J. Blige. When she first came out, 411, her style was, of course, it was very tomboyish. And then you go and you see the My Life album. It gets a little
Yeah.
bit more deeper, more intimate, where she said 411, if you look at that cover, it was dark. My Life was dark too, but
Mm-hmm.
she's smiling. You see color when you open that album jacket. Then you
Huh.
go to Share My World. You see the style has also changed as well too.
Yeah.
And then the Mary album, it's more so, how can I say it? Like she's definitely took a play from nature, and she's just like, okay, this is self-discovery for me. This is me looking inside within. Who is
Okay.
Mary?
Right.
So no more drama, a different chapter as well too. It was like her scream to the world, like we are tired, we are mentally. So if you go through each album, you see the shift, you see the change. The same as with Janet. When I said she did the Janet album, she's becoming a woman. But she took it there on the Velvet Rope album, so I had to get you there. She took
Yeah.
it there on that number 19 on the Velvet Rope album. Y'all know Rope Burn. Tie me
Yeah,
up, tie me down, get the candle wax. She took it there. So
that's a good point.
it was
I forgot
normal
about that.
for, yeah, for women to speak about sexuality. I mean, you had Adina Howard, but I can take you all the way back to Millie Jackson.
Oh,
And I couldn't even listen to her albums back in the day. The vinyls, if you got caught trying to get one of the vinyls, for all of us growing up in the black household, we knew how sensitive the vinyl albums were. Whether if you got a Richard Pryor album, the Red Fox album, we knew you could listen to those vinyls back in the day. And if you got caught, you knew that was your behind. So for
hmm.
me, the first vinyl that I saw was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. And that's a group that I feel as though a lot of people don't really talk a whole lot about. So shout outs to Teddy P. Ray, he rests in grace. A lot of these artists that came out way before then, they were talking about it in their music.
Yeah.
But like you said, those undertones, they did it in a way where it was not raunchy. So
Yeah.
you see the next generation doing their thing, and it's in your face now as it pertains to intimacy, love, and romance, for sure.
I think the lack. I think the lack of creativity is gone, and it's not 100% their fault. It's not really pushed anymore to really be creative, in the sense where you really sit back and think about what you want to do, how you want to do it, how different you want to do it, and how creative you want to do it. You know what I mean? So um, I think that's where a lot of it goes south, because now we talk about big words and saying big words and or at least sounding intelligent. That's frowned upon. You know what I mean? I remember, back in the '90s and stuff like that, when you heard Nas spitting and stuff like that, you
Oh
was
yeah.
impressed by that, because he said some crazy, because he was saying stuff like, "Oh shoot, what did he just say?" you know, you were all into it. Uh, and it was cool to hear people that was talking, especially when you grew up, because I grew up in Braddock, Talbot Towers, and I grew up in the hood like most everybody, surrounded by a bunch of ignorance and madness, but it was probably the best upbringing I had, because it was a real neighborhood. I grew up with kids, even though through all the craziness, I grew up in a household with my brothers and my mom, my dad, and in the neighborhood where there's playgrounds and all that. What's the playgrounds out anymore? So it's just they're not really looked at. They don't really look at music now. Before, when I looked at it, when I was getting into music, and what a lot of people artists did is they get into music because they have something to say. That's what hip hop was. You had something to say, So and you put it in a way of spoken word, which turned into lyric, which was like lyrics, and then turned into music. And so you was creative, and you meant everything you said. You meant every word, so you wanted everybody to hear every word you said. Now you just kind of, they don't really, and again, not everybody, but it's more likely for them to just write anything and say anything. You know what I mean? Because they're not trying to be creative. They're not even trying to really be talented. They just want to, they know if they put something on a beat and put it on TikTok or something like that, it will go viral. You know what I mean? People go viral for shock value, not for talent. You know what I mean? So now listening to it and say, "Dang, that song's really good, man. I like that." It's the shock value is the crazy stuff he just said in the most raunchiest ways and all that. And it's always been that. Now I'll end it on this. You, for the record, you've always had that. You had your two live crews. Kim was talking that. Who else? There was raunchy rappers. Don't get me wrong, but in between that, there was the Nas's, there was the Tupacs, there was the Biggies, then there was the Digital Undergrounds, and then there was, what I mean, there was the Slick Ricks, the DMX. There was so much different kind. You know what I mean? So you didn't have to just hear the same thing. They're hearing the same thing. So when they start rapping, they just rap about the same thing.
Yep.
You know, I grew up being able to listen to so many other things. I don't have to just rap like that. I can talk about, if I feel like something happened in my childhood, I can rap about that. If I want to just have a good time, let's rap about that. If you want to talk about the ladies or talk about something, let's rap about that. Like, there's so many things. I rap about what happens in the world, too. You know what I mean? Grady said it needs to be said, but that's just me. I know that was kind of long-winded, but I just wanted to get my point across. That's all.
No, absolutely. Again, that's what I'm saying. You're speaking from your personal experience as an artist, and it, an artist's job is to reflect what is currently going on, where they've been from, where their story is, because
Yes, yes.
we, the consumers, the listeners, also can relate to that as well too. And we start sharing the most vulnerable bits and pieces of ourselves with the world as well. And that is key and crucial
Yeah.
to making excellent artistry. And I use this as an example. When I interview people, I not only hear their story, but I share bits and pieces of myself with them as well too when asked. You know, you can't
Yeah.
just make it about the person, but you share because he's be like, ah, I've been through that as well
Been through
too.
that. Exactly. Yes,
That's what
exactly.
it's about. That
Exactly.
dialogue.
Yeah. No, I 100%. I've had I've had people cry over my songs. I've had people,
Mm,
I mean, just uh, be like, "Oh my God," because I have a song called "Worthless," which is about when I was adopted, and I was letting somebody hear it one time, and I was like, "Oh my God, I've been through that same thing." When I write it, I don't think about who can relate to it. I write it because that's what I went through, what I was going through. Then when you see somebody else being able to connect to that, it makes it all worth it. So that's just where I'm at with it, you know.
absolutely. Now, you're an artist as well too. You're an artist. You're a man who wears many hats. You're an artist. You're an actor. You're a
Yeah,
director. You do it all. So the acting aspect, because Ira mentioned a film yesterday, and I
yeah.
chat with Dapper Cool. So tell us a little bit about the film and the project all together, collectively working together.
Okay. The film was inspired by a music video, and I've done just yeah. For the record, I've done short films or here and there that's on YouTube and stuff like that. This was my first big, you know, full, what do they call it? Not full fledged, full length film. But it was inspired by the music video, Dapper Cool's music video that I produced and directed, called "Call Me." That was so I did his video. You can look on YouTube. You know, it's on YouTube. It's called "Call Me," and then after the end of the shoot, him and the woman that played the leading lady, her name is Stacey Ross, the one that played the leading lady in it, their chemistry was kind of like fun, and they was crazy and all that type of stuff. I said at the end, so when the video wrapped, I jokingly said, I was like, "Y'all cutting up, man. I should make a movie about y'all two. It'll be like what happens after you made the call." And then, again, it just started off as a joke. And then I thought about it because that's how my mind works. I was like, yeah, I'll make it to where what happened to y'all after you picked up the phone, because it's called "Call Me." And at the end of the video, she calls him, he picks up, they meet on the steps, and they hug. And then the video goes off. But, and then in the movie, the movie picks up 2 weeks after the video goes off. So I ended up writing it like that. After that day, I wrote it. I wrote the first few scenes that next day, and I sent it to Malik. He's like, "You were serious?" I said, "I'm gonna do it." I was excited about it then. And before you know it was supposed to be like a 20-minute film, if that.
Wow.
Just a little. Yeah, I see it was supposed to be a 20-minute film. Something I was just going, what happened to these two characters after they picked up the call? And it just, I don't know, my mind it went from two to three characters to like 11 characters. and it just ballooned into from 20 minutes to an hour and 40 minutes. And it took a lot. I wrote it at night. I wrote it. I edited it. I directed it, and I co-starred it. And it's in theaters. It will be premiered. Well, it premiered. Um, what was that? The 27th? No, not 27th. The a few weeks ago, and and it will be rescreening on the 8th of June at at the Parkway Theater in McKees Rocks. So I'm really excited about it. Everybody's really excited about it. People that seen this coming back to see it, and they're bringing more people. So it felt good to actually sit back in the back as the movie was playing to see something that I wrote on the big screen. So and P. Michelle was right beside me, and she was just watching it, and she's really proud of me. So, and everybody was like really excited. I got a big rounding ovation at the end of the film. It felt good. So, so I just like being creative. So,
And you
and
did
I got a crazy
an outstanding job. And Iris says also the Stay the Night video. He said it's a dope movie, well put together. The cast was awesome.
Thank
Trust me, you'll love it.
you. Okay, Ira, appreciate it. Yeah, for real. Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of it, and I'm humbled by it. I'm humbled by it. I do not make light of the if you would say success. I do. I really appreciate it in every way, shape, or form. You know, God has given me the talent, and it will be a crime against Him if I don't use it. So, and that's exactly what I do. So, and everybody that drives me and pushes me, like Pete Michelle and Ira and Malik, and make them make sense, and everybody. So, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So, and Ira's video, uh, that Stay the Night video, that song, I love that song. When he first asked me to shoot the video for, did you hear it?
I
Did you hear the
did.
song?
I love the song.
Yes.
And I told him that when we did our interview. I said, I love the song. I love what you're doing,
Yeah.
this artistry, this
Yeah.
visual, everything. So,
Yeah.
again, outstanding job. And he also just said that you are a workaholic.
Yeah. I'm always doing something. I'm always doing. I'm always. If I'm not editing, I'm writing. If I'm not writing, I'm filming. And I make time for the family. But my mind is always moving. I've always, even as a little kid, I can't turn it off. It's always. The grown-ups used to tell me that your mind's always moving. And it is. It's like stuff is. I'm inspired by everything. Stuff just comes to me, and a lot of it I'll let go, because I'll try to remember it and I'll do something else and completely forget it. I hate that. But again, I've been blessed with quite an imagination, even as a little kid. I was always, even when I played with my little toys. I mean, I had a whole world going on in there. In my head, of course, but I'm saying when I played, I had a whole terrain and cities and all type of crazy stuff. But it's just my mind is. I've never lost that. They say when you get, thank you. They say when you get older, you lose your imagination, and I do see that in a lot of adults because we go to work, we got to raise our families,
Yeah.
and you could, yeah, and it's honestly a shame you lose that childness in you. You can still that doesn't make you childish. You can always keep that childish and that imagination in you, but people lose it. And I guess I just never lost it. It's just always. I think it will always be there, and I'm gonna pass it on to even my daughter. So hopefully she got it too.
Yes, that next, like passing the torch, or that next legacy, the next generation of artists that are coming up, and you impacting them as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Have they been getting the music bug, hearing sounds? Because they typically start playing little things around the house, here or there,
Yeah.
off of things that they hear off of television or on the radio, and they pick that up and you start playing
Yeah.
these songs. They start playing instruments. So they're very gifted. These kids nowadays pick up everything. Like I said, at my nephew's on his way to his terrible
Oh
twos, knows
boy.
sign language already
Sign
in
language.
communication. He
Oh shit.
already knows how to say no more, please, thank you, all of that. And What shocked me was
Yeah,
that the
no, no.
preschool teacher thought that he wanted to be picked up. He could that he couldn't walk. No, his mother said he can walk. He just wants to be picked up and carried around. So he's smart. He's smart. He's already walking. He's already getting into anything, just like any other kids. But they pick up very early as
Mhm.
far as music, as far as it goes. Um, you could be watching
People,
cartoons and you
yeah,
can hear them humming the sound of a cartoon on TV.
yeah.
These babies know how to play these instruments and they
Oh
pick up
yeah.
their gift.
Oh yeah. P. Michelle's yeah, daughter, Leandra, she's hearing impaired. And
Mm.
she knows how to, she's learned how to sign since how old is she? Yeah, she's 7. No, I know she's 7 now. I said when she started signing when she was like at birth, basically. Yeah, so you're right about that. And she's good now. She's like really, and she's only 7. So I mean, she'll do all that stuff and tell you what's what. I mean, I learned from her and P. Michelle. That's what I'm saying. I never thought I'd learn that stuff, but I mean, we've been around each other so much over the years, it stuck, and now it just happens on habit. So that's an amazing thing. We all have stuff in it, like that we're born with that we don't know we have, you know. And then when you get older, because you start doing stuff, and you don't know what you're doing, and until then you lose it because it was never cultivated. You know what I mean? So that's what ends up happening. But she's very smart. Leon's is very smart. And your little nephew gonna be smart too.
Oh yeah, and he's already picking up on things. And oh my goodness. Oh yes, Ronson will be joining us also too. Let me see. It is about time to add him in. So you guys are getting a double show today. It's all about creativity, black creativity,
Right.
and networking. And Ira says that you got another video in the works. Keep it smooth. So tell us a little bit about that. I know you can't give away all your juice, but what can we expect from this video here?
Uh, yeah, it's a new video. It hasn't been in production or anything like that, but uh, I'll be doing this next video called "Keep It Smooth," and it's going to be actually with Cougar Cougar Cat or yeah Cougar Cat. So and it's really gonna be really creative. See, I don't know if I should go into it, but it's gonna be really creative. It's gonna be really creative. So you know. We just look out for that because I'm telling you, I'm going in on it, and it's going to be beautiful. And when you get a chance, look up on YouTube for State of Night, and also look for Call Me, you know, and at the end of Call Me, you'll see a trailer for my movie After the Call.
All right.
I'll give you all that later.
Stay
I'll
tuned.
give you all that later.
Speaking of filmmaking, we have a filmmaker, actor, director here.
Uh-oh.
D-Dadification, Ronson Hawkins Jr. and Ronson D-Dadification.
What's
So
happening?
I feel like this was the perfect collab right here. Filmmaker, and then you got an actor and director. Gentlemen, welcome.
How you doing?
Hey, what's happening?
Nice
Hey,
to meet you,
so
man.
you do movies and stuff?
Yes, sir. Actor, filmmaker, like Stevie said. Thank you for that introduction, Stevie. Yes, sir. Director, actor, acting coach.
Oh,
I've been acting for a long time. Yeah, voiceover. I do voiceover as well. I'm a voiceover actor also for anime and cartoons. So yeah.
I've been trying to get into that whole voiceover thing. I don't know how to get into
Hey,
it. I don't
man,
know.
listen, hit me up. My mother, she's a consultant. She helps actors get signed and get connected to the industry. So listen, man, we're going after this call. We're gonna have to chop it up. You know what I'm saying? Let's do
Oh,
it.
most definitely, most definitely. Shoot.
Now,
Yeah,
Ronson,
yeah.
you began at the age of 10 years old acting. We were just talking about how the next generation of actors and performers start off at a very young age with their craft and their gifts. For you, what was that moment for you where you figured, okay, acting is something that I want to go into? because you wear so many hats. You not only act, but you direct, you write. And that's what I love about you. So I figure let's network them together because you both are in that same
Yeah.
field of creative. So for you at the age of 10 years old, what was that moment that you saw on television that said, okay, this is something that I want to pursue?
I think it was well around that age. I started in speech and oratory competitions. I started in public speaking, so I was actually competing in a big competition here held annually in Houston called the MLK Oratory Competition, and we were to give a Martin Luther King speech. And so I was competing against a lot of schools, and I ended up getting to the last round, and I got second place. And I was featured on Good Morning America, and I was able to do the speeches all around Houston at various churches. It really opened doors for me in a performative sense, and it was just something about being in front of people and performing. And that's where I got bit by the bug, you know. And at that time I was like in elementary school, and then I believe it was when I was in the 5th grade, around the same time I did my first musical, and it was The Wiz, and I was Oz. And that was like when I got bit by the bug. Like, I experienced all the facets of theater, like the stage manager and having a run crew and rehearsals, and then, you know, us rehearsing, and then now there's an audience of students who are all friends and peers, and us performing in front of them, and I didn't have stage fright really. So and then the next year I learned I could sing, that I liked to sing. So then now I literally pushed full-fledged into musical theater. And yeah, the Oz, that's when I got bit by the bug. From then on, it was like the sky's the limit. Yeah.
And you've
Yeah.
dedicated 15 years of your life, your legacy, to acting, to pursuing your craft. And as my guest that I had on yesterday, Cool Dapper Cool, who works with MDMA, de-dadification, Ira Watkins, we were talking about honing your craft and how important and key and crucial it is to follow and pursue your dreams. As Black collectives, both of you gentlemen, de-dadification and Ronson, how important is it that the next generation of writers, directors, filmmakers, and artists come out and tap into that craft?
Oh, I think.
Mm,
Oh, I think it's very important.
yeah.
Yeah, because you got to keep it going. I mean, being creative is probably some of the hardest things to do, especially for the up and coming people, because I don't think they're taught to be creative. You know, I think that they're just, because being creative is actually really thinking outside of the box, like doing something that's been done before, just so you can say you did something. That's not being creative. You're just taking a project that was already done. Now, if you took a project, kind of made your own thing, and created something out of it that was brand new, that's being creative. And so I feel like anybody that I would talk to say, I would tell anybody, think outside the box. Pass, win or fail. I mean, you know what I mean? Just throw it out there and make sure it's something that you write and you do from your heart. Whether it's acting, if you're going to act, sometimes you just got to come out of yourself. Don't be worried about what people are going to think about you. You just got to do you. And you got to come out of, you got to be a character. You know, if you're directing and stuff like that, it takes more to being directed than just saying action and cut. You know what I mean? So,
Say that again.
and yeah, so everybody think that they're directed because they got a camera. There's more to it than
No.
that. It takes a vision. It takes a true vision, the true vision. So yes, I think that it's very important that the new generation really takes a real creative stance on really making something, not just something new, but something new and creative. You know what I mean?
I,
That's how I feel.
no, I'd love to piggyback off of that. Echoing what D Daddy said about, you know, putting a spin, your creative, fresh spin on what you create. I think as far as diving into the craft, it is about taking a risk.
Yeah.
Like the greatest example of somebody who was an archetype that I looked up to growing up was, a lot of people don't know, but my uncle was Corwin Hawkins. He played Peaches in A Low Down Dirty Shame. He played Wayman in A Low Down Dirty Shame. And Ivory Wayans, and Jada Pinkett Smith. He was
Wow.
the comedic cornerstone of that movie, but he was also a comedic pioneer. You know, he was one of the first comedians to start to have a stand-up act doing it in drag. Like that opened up a trailblazing cornerstone for an entire community, you know, especially him walking on stage in drag doing comedy and Def Comedy Jam and creating that facet and having that alter ego. And so, you know, but the cool thing was my dad would always tell me stories about the before part, about how he grew up here, you know, and how he went to performance art school in Houston, and how, you know, my grandparents, he told my grandparents, hey, he was like, y'all, I want to go and be creative. I want to go dance. So he packed up, went to Dallas, and he went to the clubs to dance, to do comedy. And it ended up getting him to LA. He took a risk. You know, he moved out. And my dad always told, my late father, may he rest in peace, would always tell me the stories of how my uncle, um, he would always tell me those stories because I grew up performing. I followed in his footsteps. And he would always say, Ronson, if you want to be something in this industry, you have to take a risk. And sometimes that's a risk creatively. You know, a lot of times people want to compare with being creative. And I tell people, do what you want to do and make what you want to see. If there's something in the industry that there's a story that you want to see that nobody's doing, it's your time to do it, because it's about being creative. There are no rules. There are no limits. There's no playbook. You know, sometimes there's some foundational things for you to know as far as the industry. And that kind of goes to another thing about the craft. I think in this generation, a lot of people try to undermine the work. And I tell people, go train. I'm a coach. I tell people, go train all the time. Go learn, go train. One of the greats trained. Denzel says, you know, it was an interview recently where he was like, you know, filmmaking is the you know, movies is a filmmaker's medium, but the stage is where I learned. And so I learned on the stage. That's where I learned. And I took years and years of training. I mean, I went to college on a theater scholarship, and I got it from Chandra Wilson, who played Dr. Bailey on Grey's Anatomy. Like, I trained, you know, I was one of the few Black kids in the theater department at my performance arts high school. You know, I'm learning Shakespeare and Tartuffe and Moliere and contemporary realism. And, you know, I'm learning this heavy material that when it was time for me to step out and go and act with these people and go and act in these different markets, I was able to do it because at the end of the day, I had an edge because I had training. You know, so to kind of wrap that up, it's taking a risk creatively and making something that's different. And then it's also knowing that before you can get to that point, you have to put in the work to learn. You never know everything.
Word.
The best artists are people who are always opening to learn. I'm a sponge. Yeah, I coach actors, but I also have an acting coach myself. I learn on set now. So when I'm working with actors, you know, there are things you can teach me. Like, I'm never an artist who's above learning is not an artist. You're not a creative if you're above learning, if you're above learning from your fellow creatives, you know? So yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to take that constructive criticism, and that's for any
That
artist,
part.
actor, director, filmmaker, whomever. You have to be willing to take that constructive criticism. I just told D-Dadification, I've been doing Style by Stevie for 7 years, and I started right after high school.
Yeah.
And I had no clue, no experience.
Wow.
When you're young, you don't want to hear it. You're not trying to hear it. But as you grow in the business, you learn things about yourself. And again, it is that training, it's that force. And Ronson, you said playbook. I'm gonna highlight something. You said playbook. You know where I'm going. You have a book out, Script Analysis 101, and this book teaches people on understanding their character, also understanding your craft. And I understand from an actor's perspective, and this is for both gentlemen up here on this panel, D-Dadification and Ronson. When you are developing an artist or you're developing a character in a film, you have to go and find those bits and pieces of yourself.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what Ronson and what me and D-Dadification just got to talking about, which is, if you want your story to be relatable to the people, pull from that personal experience, because people will watch something or they will listen to something and they will take on to that and say, hey, I can relate to this in some sort of way. And I'm pretty sure you've got it, Ronson, from all of your films that you've starred in, you've done over 30 altogether and more counting. And people will walk up to you and say, hey, I don't like your character, or your character, I hate that this
all the
happened to your
time.
character. They can relate to it in some sort of way. And de-daddification for you, I'm pretty sure you and Ira and Dapper Cool and everyone in the team get messages saying how much of an impact their music has had on them in some sort of a way. And I know for me hosting this platform, I get, oh my God, we can't go another day without not having you live. Why are you not live? I'm like, okay, I got a life outside of this
Right,
platform.
right.
But it's that, but it's about finding that balance. And again, pulling from your own personal experience and being that beacon and light and hope to people, inspiring and impacting them. So my next question for both gentlemen here in the convo, because this conversation is so good, and I hope there's a lot of Black creatives coming in. Welcome as you come in. We're talking about honing your craft and tapping in, because I must say that now is the time for all of us as actors, as filmmakers, as directors, as musicians to tap and hone into that power. We are now seeing, we talked about the independent artist aspect earlier with de-daddification here. Ron said for you, there's a lot of actors that are going out here and saying, hey, a lot of studios don't want to work with me. We're going to go out here and start our own production company. And someone, and I'm pretty sure if I drop his name, you might know him. He does his thing behind the scenes, and he has his company as well too, and that would be Nelson J. Davis, who
That's
is
my
the
guy.
one. De-daddification, Nelson?
Yeah, we've done. He's in my movie After the Call. I was in his series Off Man. I played Brett. Yeah, we work
Small world.
together all the
Everybody knows
time.
Nelson. Tag
Yeah, we
Nelson
just
in
did a
his
music
live,
video
y'all.
together.
But he's coming on the show next month. And Nelson's done 3 appearances on with me already.
Yeah,
But see, it's a small world. That's the power of networking. Y'all see that?
yeah,
Yeah,
That is the
yeah,
power of
yeah.
networking.
yeah,
No, Nelson's there. He is so humble. Like he's such a soft spoken type of guy. Uh, and he's such a nice dude. And he really just loves what he does. And when you're around people that's like that, it just energizes you. Because I'm the same way. That's the type of energy you want to keep around you when you're creating. You don't want no negativity or just a whole lot of nonsense. You need to pull from people, just like they pull from you, and then create something, and then work together if need be to create something that the world never seen, or at least something entertaining that they can be like, "Wow, I love that." So that me and Nels working together, and I hope me and Ronson get to do the same thing.
man, let's make it happen, dude. I'm all about
Yeah,
collaboration to kind of go off of that. What you were saying,
yeah,
Stevie, about the independent sector. That's what it is. I mean,
yeah.
I was just talking to a creative yesterday because I was at a short film showcase for my first short film that I produced, and it was like the first thing that I created. It's called Shed, and I was telling a creative, a lot of times we talk about, moving, and that's a big thing. There's been an industry shift. I'm a part of the new generation of actors where, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in sort of the more classic older generation of actors, you had to like drive to LA or drive to Austin or drive to these places to go and audition,
Mm-hmm.
with the possibility of not even getting a call back. So that's, you had to go to where it is. But nowadays, because of the shift in the industry,
Oh, yeah.
the creativity that you want is where you are. I think there's this belief in this concept that success is other than where we are. It's in a different place. You think of Atlanta, you think of the markets like LA, and you used to hear people say, "Oh, I want that LA type of thing. I want that New York type of thing. I need to go there." And it's like, no, you can bring it here. Like how people say you can bring sand from the beach and bring the sand where you are and make the beach here where you're at. You can do it. It's movie magic, but it's possible. You can bring the creativity to where you are. And I think we've seen that in the last couple, years with the independent sector and working,
Oh, yeah.
working with, independent films. I mean, Tubi is a big platform that has completely changed and uprooted the industry as far as creating a lane for Black independent filmmakers. And so it's like now there's a lot of creative projects there that are being made in all these different markets. You got Houston, you got Atlanta, you got Detroit. I mean, I've worked with Detroit actors. I've pretty much built I've built a strong footprint here as far as Houston. I just worked in Fort Worth. There's a lot of talented peeps there. A lot of my peeps in Fort Worth. I just did a film there. It's for the independent sector. It's really, collaboration is important. Like, it's so important, and it's independent film. You can create now what you want to see. You can do it. You don't need you can create the production. You can create the production company that you want. You can create these things, and then you'll find yourself rubbing elbows and working with different artists. Like, now I know De-Dadification, and now me and him are gonna create something. We can create something and push something to the finish line, and now we're rubbing elbows because now we've connected. It's the network. It's collaboration. That's the joy of it.
And
for sure.
that's what it takes in this business for sure, is networking, getting yourself out there if you are an independent filmmaker, an independent creative. Because we see a lot of these networks, a lot of these publications. Let's go to the biggest one, Paramount, Warner Brothers. But Spike Lee is one of my favorite film directors. Love him.
20 Acres and a Mule or something like that.
Yes.
And that is
and that is production. Right there. That's what we're talking about. You have to start off yourself. If no one is going to give you those opportunities, and then I've sat with a lot of actors and we talked about creating your own opportunity. Even when you go to these casting calls, because there's thousands of people that are also going for either the same role that you're going or next to the lead. And that is like, you might not get it, you might get a call back, but it's just like, I'm going to take this time and I'm going to build my own opportunity here, and I'm going to hone into my craft, and I'm going to tap into it, and I'm going to create something. So it's the power of networking. Get out here amongst yourself and create.
And
For all
booking
of us being
the room
Black in this business, collective, everyone wants a seat at the table. And I'm going to quote Anjanou Ellis. She said this: we all want to see, Black people, we all want a seat at the table, but no, we want the acres of land. We need to have everything that is handed to us, and rightfully so. As Black collectives, as Black people, as Black artists, we are the culture. We do music, we act, we do all of this and so much more. And that's why it's a passion to me. So I said, you know what, let's merge both interviews today, because I was going to do both interviews separately. I didn't mind, but I said, you know what, let's merge, because they both were in the field of film. Let's network them together. And I love putting people together who are in that same exact, who are visionaries, who create. And for us as Black creatives, I mean, we have a network for specifically for us, BET, Black Entertainment Television. But as Ronson just said, you see that shift of it happening on Tubi, where Black filmmakers are creating it on their own and emerging to the top. And the projects are talked about everywhere. You can't go anywhere without them talking about a project that Nelson or De-Dadification or Ronson have done that is out there. People literally relate to the characters and everything. That's how hot it is. So again, the moment, they are letting us have our moment of creativity. And I love it. I love it. So keep networking, keep going amongst yourself. My next question, gentlemen, is for you. How important is it that we support Black creatives and directors, filmmakers, producers, and indie artists? How key and crucial and important is that?
Oh, that's super important.
Yeah.
It's super important because, especially, and obviously, this people may feel some type of way, like, why just Black? It's not just why. I think that when you actually look at Black talent and putting people out there for a long time, we didn't really have that outlet to do it. We had to get in with other people. You know what I mean? So having that actual venue to be like, you know what, I want to see that. Hey, I'm doing something. Why don't you come do it with me? Well, I want to see that person shine. So I'm gonna support them. You know what I mean? I want to see you do your thing. I want to see you up. That's our thing. We want to see each other up. We got a few knuckleheads out there in the game, no question.
Yes.
But 9 times out of 10, and I know it doesn't really get, I know because they always look at the negative on our people, but there is so many good, talented, creative people out there, and it gets overshadowed by the nonsense. And I think because the nonsense is more entertaining, to the world. So I will support anybody, any of my people trying to do the dang thing,
Yeah.
whether it's writing music, being an actor in my film, helping them write something on their own film, whatever it takes. Just ask me, would you, doing the music, whatever you need me to do, I got you. In any way, shape, or form. I want to see you shine. So that's how I feel. It's very important to me.
Yeah, no, to piggyback off of that, man, I learned early on in my creative career, when I started training, um, I started in an intense environment where it was always just about the art. It was always about the craft.
That's about the craft.
Um, it was never about, and a lot of actors, a lot of people get in this industry, and the first thing they put forth and they think about and they prioritize is what the art and the craft can give to them. They want to take, 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 take. And I tell
Right.
people all the time, you got to invest in the craft before and I personify the craft. I say, you have to invest in this person that is the craft before they ever think about giving to you. Imagine you going to someone and just want to take, 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 take. It's like, what are you giving to the craft to prove that you're worthy of getting something from the craft? The craft will treat you well. It's just you have to work. You have to put in the work. And a lot of the times that makes a lot of people come into the industry and they start thinking about themselves, and they start thinking about the quantity, and they start thinking about how much they want to do and being the star of everything, but they're overlooking the craft. And what it does is it undermines the duty of being an artist. And that is, whenever you see someone next to you creating amazing art, if you have a platform built, how about you lend them a hand and you
Right.
connect them and you tap them into your platform? Because guess what? It's going to shine light on the main thing that we do this for the first place. And it's all about the art. Issa Rae, it's like this infamous, this quote that she does, that she, put out. And a lot of my creative friends, we talk about all the time. And it's like, she talks about the chain of command of wanting to always network up. And it's like, no, you network. It's not a vertical thing. It's a horizontal thing. You network with the people next to you. And that allows you to build to get to the people up. Or I'm the type of guy where I have a tribe. I have a circle of creatives. And we always support each other. I have friends where the thing I always say is, whenever I'll be auditioning and he'll be auditioning, and I have another friend of mine, he'll be auditioning, and I'll be like, man, bro, how did this audition go? And I got a call back. Okay, cool, I got a call back too. And either one of us will book it. And when I tell him that I booked it, he'll say, oh man, that just means, the blessings in the neighborhood. That just means it's about to knock on my door next. And that's how we support each other. That's the analogy. So that sort of thing is how I am with all creatives. If I know that out of all of us, somebody's going to get to the top first. It may be both of us at the same time. It may be one of us. But because we're a creative team, I know that the moment I allocate a certain amount of resources and I get to that level to where I can put my people on, I'm going to put my people on, because that's what it's about. That's my creative duty. We can all eat. I tell creatives and actors that all the time. A lot of time there's this competitive nature that a lot of creatives have. And I tell people, when it's about the art and the craft, dude, we all can eat. Like, you don't have to have a crab in the bucket mentality. You don't have to try to pull on my claw to pull me down because you want to get on top. We can all get to the top together. That's the importance. And I think the moment that I understood that, it totally changed my mindset with how I approached my creative career. And now it's so awesome because I get to connect with friends and we get to make stuff, and then we put stuff out. And then that friend goes and does something else. And guess what? I'm getting a call. Hey, dude. Hey, man, how about you come coach on my set? I've just connected with this filmmaker. I'm doing this film. Come coach on my set. Or if somebody needs a DP or something, I say, I got just the right person to call. And I hit up my friend and I say, hey, dude, I'm on the set. They need a DP, yada, yada, yada. Come on through. that's the joy of creative collaboration. So yeah.
You know, just to slide something in there. It's, when I was out, I used to go to auditions all the time,
Mm.
and I remember, and some you get, some you don't. But uh, I remember every time I would go to one, and it's a grueling process.
So
You're like,
grueling.
oh man, it was like I should have had that, you know. But I think I was inspired. It was Ice Cube. Ice Cube said when he did Boys in the Hood, and then which I think was his first role. He did Boys in the Hood, and then but everything after that, he would always get the same type of role. It's just a tough guy, the gangster, the hood guy, whatever the case may be, and he couldn't really get much anything. So John Singleton, rest in
Yeah.
peace. It was John Singleton. I told him, stop waiting for people to put you in movies and make your own. And I remembered him saying that, and I started making my own. And
Wow.
and that's I just that's what I'm saying. You could be inspired by so many different people because I used to try to get into everybody's movie. You know what I mean? Hey man, I'm good, man. I'm an actor. I'm good. Put me in it. Put me in it. You know, and everybody's trying to get in, but it's just after a while, I was just like, you know what am I doing? You know what I mean? Yeah, if you see, that's not to say if you see an opportunity, don't go for it if you
Yeah.
want to be in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's good.
yeah, no, you definitely go for the
Absolutely.
opportunity. But if you got something in it, like we was talking about, you want to see, write it yourself.
Do it.
It might not be great, you know, your first time, you know, but that's what you just keep going. You build on that. Your first film might have to get crapped on before you do that second film. Learn from the first
Talk
one
about
and get a number 1 hit.
talk about
You know what I mean? It happens, you know. But Ice Cube was what inspired me because he was inspired by John Singleton to start writing his own movies, and I started writing my own movies, and here I am.
that
That's
book.
my story.
That's that book the room mentality, you know? That's what that
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened? He gave us Cube Vision. We seen it in the film Straight Outta Compton, how
Yeah.
the Friday
Yep.
film was formed.
Yep.
And it was all him because laptops back in the day
Yeah.
were shaped funny than how they're currently shaped now. They were
They
kind of
were.
thick.
They were.
But
Yeah.
you saw him literally writing the
Yeah.
script for Friday on his
Yep.
laptop.
Yep.
So Cube Vision Entertainment is what it's called. And then years later, we see other hip hop artists that are following in their footsteps, like
Mm-hmm.
Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah, a lot of people forget she has a film production company
I didn't
called
know that.
Flavor Production or Flavor Unit Productions. So she's
Mm-hmm.
produced her own. So it's all about going and I got tongue tied. Creating your own opportunities for yourself
Yeah.
because we're looking for people to place us in these films. We're looking to be represented and seen in these places where we can go and create our own. And I'm going to say another person who's capable of doing that would be Byron Allen, building yourself up from the
Yeah.
top. Another would have to be, like I said, Spike Lee and so many others who have built their way up to the top. You have to start from somewhere. I don't care if it's $7 or $5, you have to start from
Oh,
somewhere.
oh yeah.
Take that money and invest into what it is you want to work on. Style by Stevie, I had to get everything trademark, the name,
Yep.
Yeah.
everything. Me and my
Yeah.
mom, I remember going through the whole process. So all of that behind the scenes stuff so that you can get these amazing conversations, interviews, because I took the time and I sat there and I went to that drawing board. And for every
Mm-hmm.
creative, you have to start somewhere on that drawing board, on that table, to build up your brand, to build up your business. As I mentioned with Nelson, Nelson also produces films as well
Yeah.
too. So when I
Yeah.
mentioned his name, the D-Daddification said, "Oh, Nelson, I know him. Ross
That's
knows
my
him. We
dude.
all know him."
That's
So
my
I
dude.
drop his name in almost every single interview, and they will know exactly who he is
Mm-hmm.
because he's
Yeah.
made that name for himself
His
through his
hustle's
production company.
real.
He's
Oh yeah.
producing.
Yeah.
He's getting it out there, and that's what it's about. Another filmmaker and producer that I want to give a shout out to, black filmmaker and producer, would be Terry T. Miles, and he's
Hmm.
in the DC VA area. So it is
Okay.
all about being able to get it out there from the mud. And that was a question that I asked him when we did our conversation was, starting off in the business, what advice would you give to filmmakers? Don't wait. Don't sit
Mm-hmm.
on that
No,
opportunity.
no.
Don't wait. Get up and create your own lane. And that's
Yeah,
what these filmmakers like the Ice Cubes, the Queen Latifahs,
yeah.
the Spike Lees of the world, and now, I mean, he's grossing big in the box office. That's Ryan Coogler. So it's
Oh
all
yeah,
about
Black Panther.
centers,
Mm-hmm.
Don't
back to back
wait
to back,
and train. Yeah. Don't wait and train.
consecutive. Don't
Yeah.
sit
Yeah,
there and wait. Get
Yeah.
up and do it. And I think it was Cheryl Lee Ralph. She said something about a golden dream, about a
yeah.
golden dream and an opportunity. Don't sit there and wait for that opportunity to pass you by.
Oh
If you know
man.
that this is something that's in your heart, that's heavy, because Style by Stevie just came to me randomly. I was sitting in the room brainstorming, and the name wasn't originally Style by Stevie. It was called Weekdays Topics.
Mm.
Mm.
And I was sitting in the room brainstorming, flipping through fashion magazines, and
Yeah.
I just said, you know what, it's got to be different. Style by Stevie. I took and I invested. I said, you know what? Let's do something different. It can't just be this. But when people think of Style by Stevie, the first thing they think of is Vogue. They think of fashion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so much more than just that. You have
Yeah.
topics, you have culture, you have networking, you have me educating Black people on what they can do to excel in our businesses and what we can do to be great. So it's more, yeah, you're going to get the fashion, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also want you to take away and get some knowledge from my guests as well, to have been in the business of where you want to go to start your brand and expel and expand in your brand, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That's perfect. I think it even goes to how you said, you know, just start. I think it's also just train. I always preach that all the time. Start and train. Train, train, train. When you think about the Ryan Cooglers and you think about the Spike Lees, they and even Ice Cube, somewhere along the way, I'm sure he had mentorship from other people in the
Oh
industry
yeah.
that were like, "Hey, this is how you need to do this." And then you have people like Spike and you know Ryan Coogler, who they got their masters in filmmaking. They went to film school. They went to graduate school. They learned. They had to go through that curriculum and that training to to craft the gift. You know, to craft it to the ability to where it is now. And I think a lot of beginner filmmakers, you know, and a lot of beginner actors, sometimes they want to rush that. They want to get to the result now. And I tell them you can't rush the outcome and you can't rush the results. You have to just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the journey and enjoy the work. And if you can't romanticize the journey, especially starting off as an actor, where you're not getting paid and you're not getting the credit that you romanticize, that you see all these big actors having, yeah, those people have to work. I tell people now, yeah, it's been 15 years, but I'm just starting it. You know, when the opportunities for me do elevate, people may
Mm-hmm.
think it's overnight. No, it's a 15-year overnight story. Like there's been years
Mm-hmm.
that I've cultivated in the making to get to where I'm at now, and I'm still elevating each and every day. Like there's levels to this, and that's the real. People don't get there's levels to this. You know, it's not just one level and you work and you work and you work, but it's always about just doing it and just starting and then training. You start with those places, then you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I'm inspired as an actor. I'm inspired by, and this might sound cliche, Denzel Washington is just amazing to me. That dude. I mean, he just. I don't know. It's like he's like the Whitney Houston of actors. Like Whitney Houston, when she sang, it was effortless. Like it's
F-
like she wasn't singing. It's like she wasn't singing. It's like they're like, "Can you sing the song?" It just came out. You know, some people have to warm up, and you could tell that actually trying to push out, and they might be good singers, but it just and she did it with a smile on her face. It just seemed so effortless, and that's how I look at Denzel. I mean, just look at some of his roles and some of the things he's done. I watched The Equalizer where he had this one scene with the boy he was trying to save. I think it was in part three or two, might have been two. He was getting the kid from out of the drug dealer's place, and he was just talking to him, and just that scene. You gotta watch that scene. It's so intense.
I know what you're talking about. It's really good. It's a
It,
really
it,
good. It's a masterclass.
yeah, he just. I mean, him and so many others. But if I was to just speak on somebody just off top of the head, Denzel. Now, ladies like him for the looks. His, I like his acting talent. The boy's bad. I mean, he deserves all the flowers. All the
Yeah.
flowers. He's not one of those people where you could say, I mean, he's all right, but no, Denzel's the truth. Denzel's the truth. I mean, the boy's bad.
Top Mount
And
Rushmore of actors. He's the top of the top.
no, without question.
Yeah.
And I think my directing inspirations is Hype Williams.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't people don't talk about him much, but Hype Williams. What's his name? Oh, dang, I gotta think of his name. But I like Ryan Coogler. I really like where his eye is as a black director. And God darn, the dude that, and this sounds crazy, but the dude that did the Justice League movie, and he did 300, and he did, oh God, I don't know his name. I'm gonna be mad because I'll remember it later. But yeah, it's just because if you watch their stuff, it's not just like they're directing. I think Martin Scorsese's a great director. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These guys have and this is what I said earlier. They ain't just grab a camera and just click it and just say, all right, that's good enough. No, they have a vision.
Yeah.
It's the vision that really gets me like, oh my God. I'm gonna tell you, I'll say this last thing, then I'm done talking. But when we talk about creativity and putting yourself out there, the first time I seen The Matrix, it was like something I've never seen before. Somebody thought that up.
Out of this world, like literally, The Matrix was out of this world. It was the blueprint.
His time. It was ahead of his time. When you talk about The Matrix and Hype Williams, they were literally ahead of their time as it pertains. I must say with Hype Williams though, he's one that likes to. I remember the women of one of my favorite girl groups, TLC.
Yeah.
When they shot the No Scrubs video, they was up walking on the walls. It was very futuristic. If you go back in time and you look at it, they were saying that, I think it was T-Boss. T-Boss was saying Hype Williams was one that loves to bring his visions to life, storyboard. Any director or filmmaker knows that when you planning a film or a scene, you have to have that storyboard. And Hype Williams was one of those that loves to bring his story to life. So the music, the fashion in that video, if you go back and you look at it, it tied into his vision. So if any Hype Williams music video, I think he did one for Tupac as well too, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, you go back and you look at all of his videos.
He did Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson too.
Sure did. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just he did Busta Rhymes and Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
I love that song. What's it gonna be? Yeah.
He was ahead of his time. And with these visionaries, they are ahead of their time. Thank you, Hun, for your platform and allowing Ronson to be a part of it. You are conducting an amazing interview. Questions on point. Thank you. And Brad Stahl asked you, D Daddy, she said, is it Ben Affleck that you were talking about with the 300 and all of his films?
No. Oh my God.
Is it Zack Snyder?
Jackson. Yeah, Snyder.
Okay, it's Snyder. Ben Affleck did Goodwill. I think Ben Affleck did Goodwill Hunting.
Goodwill Hunting.
Oh my God,
that's correct.
That's another great one though. Ben Affleck is another director. Actor. I'm like, he's good. Yeah.
Have you ever seen 300?
Yes.
300. His visionary style carries on to almost all his movies, and even and that doesn't mean that all his movies were just number one, even if they were well shot. It's not that, at least not that for me. When I watch these films, I'm looking at it like, oh my God, that is such a great shot. It's like it's done in such a way, from the lighting to the camera work to just where his mind was when he took the camera from the ceiling around the ceiling fan, through the mirror. It was. I mean, it just. I'm just giving you an
Yeah.
example, but
Yeah.
that's the type of stuff that get to me because I'm like, oh my god, that's such a good shot.
Yeah.
I mean, transitional shots. If you could do a well timed transitional shot where 1 minute you can walk out of, and Saul did this, where dude was at one place seeing a crime scene, and then he walked out the door and was in the police department. But the way it looked was so well cut together. That's filmmaking.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen that. You
Yeah.
know, I'm
That's
getting excited because that's what I'm saying. I'm into stuff. I like being creative like that.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I was a kid.
Filmmaking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets you excited. I mean,
Yeah.
it like it's being a kid in a candy store, and why like you never watch movies the same. Like when you watch it with that creative eye, you break
Yes.
it. You still enjoy it, but you're analyzing it.
Yes. Oh, I can't help it.
Yeah, you can't. You never watch movies the same when you really start to train. Like it's really cool. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And again,
man.
that is the beauty of being a visionary. You're bringing your story to life, your concept to life. You're writing about it. You're writing it on paper, and then you're also imagining in your head, like,
Yeah. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
what do I want the characters to look like? What do I want the storyline and the plot to be? All of these things go into planning your vision and bringing it to life on screen, on camera. And then once you see the finished product, it's a done deal.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
No,
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you when I first seen After the Call in the theater. I was so nervous because I was like, well, what if it don't look good? What if it's too dark? What if they hate it? Now I watched it several times because, and this is why I respect Spike Lee, at least as a filmmaker, because if you ever watch a Spike Lee film, it says produced Spike Lee, directed Spike Lee, casting
Uh-huh.
Spike Lee, editing Spike Lee. If you watch After the Call, it says directed Andre Harriet. You know, and it has my name. Now I don't think that that's the case. That people just feel like you're just doing it all to be doing. No, so I asked people for help. I did. I've asked people for help on many different occasions doing things. People don't take you seriously. You know, especially our people. I hate to say that.
yeah,
It is, they don't take you seriously. And then when they were like, and they see coming soon and all that, and they see the trailers for the movie, they're like, "Oh, you doing it for real, bro? Oh, I want to be down."
man.
See, now you're just trying
Please say that again, please.
to.
It's so, and I tell artists all the time. I tell people all the time. People will support you the moment it's popular to support you.
Yeah,
You
yes,
have
and I
no.
reach out.
That's great. Like you have no idea how many times where it's like, you know, you tell someone you're an actor,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, you're an actor,"
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they see a movie, or they see me on something, or they see me on a commercial like on the DoorDash or something, you know, or Dairy Queen or Baylor College of Medicine. Like they see me on TV
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Whoa, like you really? I just saw you on the so and so so and so." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you I was an actor. I really do this." And sometimes, like I said, it's the support, and even like you said about, you know, you ask for help. I think a lot. That's another thing.
I
That's
do.
filmmaking business. I mean, a
Oh
lot of
yes.
people have to learn. You have to learn. There's a team. I've learned that if you do it by yourself, you'll get there
Mm-hmm.
quickly. But if you do it with people, you'll get farther. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it is. When you do it with a team, like you have to have a team. Like I was at the showcase last night, and a creative had asked me like, what all involves a team. And she was from the theater world, but as far as the film world, like what involves a team. And I told her the basic bare bones of a film crew, like having the DP, having a director, having an AD, having a second AD, having somebody to gaff it because you need someone to light it, having someone to take the sound, so you need a sound guy, having a script supervisor, having these things, and you don't have to do them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, starting off, most of the times you do. I mean, even
Yeah.
from the perspective of an actor, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm my own PR, you know,
I'm everything.
I'm everything. I'm PR. You know, my
I'm
mom, she's in the
everything.
business with me too,
Yeah.
so she does the wardrobe. Like she's like she'll tell you in a heartbeat, I'm his stylist. Like, I do the PR. I'm my own PR. I'm my own marketing. I'm my own manager. I have an agent. But starting off, you're a lot of these things until you don't have to be. But the main distinctive thing is like people when they don't have to be, they don't want to ask for the help and they want to be everything. And that's where it's an issue because we start to see that in the work, like where it's just you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I tell you where I might be. I have to learn how to trust people in my vision. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is that fair to say? I have to
Yeah.
trust people because if I write it, I have to direct it. And the reason being is because I know. I guess I don't have to direct it, but I 9 times out of 10 I have to direct it. And the reason being is because I know what I see. I know what I want it to look
Yep.
like. I know, and this even comes down to the editor. I do all the editing and everything. I know how I want to be cut. I know, it's just I don't know. I guess I wore so many hats for so long. I'm so used to doing it. It would be weird to have somebody else to do it. But if I had somebody that had that type of mindset of mine, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
But what do they say? If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. It's like one of those type of things.
Yeah.
So I guess I am guilty of that. Not because I just want to see my name. I would love to say direct Andre Harry and this, that, and that by other people. That would be fine. But until then, until I get people to do that, it's gonna be me.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, that's just the levels to it. That's the name of the game. Until you get to the point to where you are allotted to add more people to your team, and it takes a lot of vetting too.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. It takes a lot of vetting. There's a big vetting process with learning who's worth being in your creative circle because when you're serious and passionate about your art, Prince was probably the most serious person about his art.
Oh.
Like he was the advocate for himself before anyone. He was a lone wolf in his craft, and he was like that. And I sort of took from that, you have to, and when you do have a team, you do have people a part of your circle. Yeah. It's like, man, you got to have the discernment to know who's really in your circle, and sometimes it takes some time. You have to really vet people out. But yeah, once you get to the point where you can have creative people part of your team, do it. But until then, it's all right to be all those things for yourself, especially if you know how you want your stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this last thing, just on that topic. I had directed a video for a guy, a music